Hey, Lara here. Got a little yoga sequence to share with you. If you've taken class with me before, you'll probably be familiar with all of the poses that we'll do in this little sequence. We're definitely going to look at a little bit of hip opening and some Tensegrity series core work. If you've got a yoga block handy, that'll be quite helpful for this little sequence. If you don't have a yoga block, you could use a book, a really dense blanket that's folded up a few times would work as well. And from there, let's get started. So, make sure to listen to your body throughout this little sequence. If anything doesn't feel right, please take a break or do a little bit less. And I'll offer you a few options in terms of how to do less throughout. So just listening to your body, listen to your breathing. All right, so placing that block beside you for now. Hands come behind your thighs. Make sure you've got enough space behind you to roll down onto your mat. Then make a C with your back. And then try to push those feet into the floor. Push your thighs into your hands. And then slowly come down one disc, one vertebra at a time. If you need to use those elbows for support the rest of the way down, you can if you need to. Try to use those core muscles. And then from here, we're going to walk our feet towards our seat, picking up one foot and then the other, taking the hands to the shins, drawing those thighs towards you. If it's comfortable, you can interlace the fingers or right thumb and forefinger on top. Fingertips press into the backs of the hands. Squeeze those thighs together. Maybe you can spread the toes as you make circles with the knees. Nice pose for opening up the lower back a little bit, releasing that area. Fantastic for digestion as well. If you need more sensation, think about sitting those hips down away from you. I like to think about having a little rape under my sacrum or under the tailbone that I'm trying to crush. Let's swap directions with our circles and swap the interlacing of the fingers. So now the left thumb and left forefinger are on top. Over time, you can help to reduce dominance in the hands, create a little more symmetry in the body. Hopefully stilling your mind along the way. Nice. And then stopping with your circles. Releasing one foot and then the other to the floor. Make sure your feet are hips distance apart. And then grabbing for your block. Make sure it's handy. And then you're going to have that block nice and close. Push into your palms, your shoulders, your fingertips. Push into the feet. Slowly lift the spine from bottom until the middle of the spine lifts a little bit. Grab for your block. Then we're going to place that block at the lowest height, or that book, underneath the sacrum, which is just this triangular shaped bone at the base of the spine, a bunch of fused vertebrae of the sacral spine. So you want to make sure that you feel supported when you pick up one foot and then the other. Feels comfortable, doesn't feel like the top edge of the block is cutting into your lower back, doesn't feel like you're going to fall off the bottom edge of the block. You want to feel like that tailbone just dripping off the edge of the block. And then pushing those palms into the floor, pushing the shoulders into the floor. Think about lifting the chest up, but still pressing those ribs towards the floor. Belly draws in and up. When you're ready, the feet lift. Either working with a 90-degree angle with the legs, so the shins are parallel to the floor, thighs are perpendicular with the floor. Or if you know your hamstrings are happy and comfortable with it, you can work with straight legs. So doing what's right for you. Just make sure you don't hyperextend those knees. Make sure you have a teensy bend in those knees if you have super bendy knees. So, regardless of whether you're working with bent or straight legs, we'll start by lowering the right leg just a little, keeping the left leg still, and then lifting that right leg back up and lowering the left leg a little. Right leg stays still. And lifting that leg back up, and then continuing. Maybe the movement grows, maybe it stays as it is. You can lower until the heel just grazes the floor, or is hovering, and then lifting back up. One leg lowering, and then the other. Try to move slowly with control. Continuously pushing the palms, the shoulders, the fingertips into the floor. It's like the whole circumference of your palm is like a suction cup. And remember, you can be working with straight legs as well, if it's available to you. Thinking front ribs squeezing together, pressing towards the floor, heads of those shoulders pressing into the floor. Often the shoulders will want to lift, you want to resist that, pushing those shoulders down, lifting your chest, but not losing the connection of those ribs. Maybe you can spread those toes a little. You can work with either let me show a flexed foot here, or a flipped and pointed foot, whatever works best for you. Continuing right leg lowering, and then left leg lowering. Now, if you need more of a challenge, you can continue as you are, just doing more repetitions, perhaps pausing your video for a little bit and doing a few more. Or you can start to work both legs together. And the movement will likely be a little bit smaller here. So you're squeezing those thighs, knees, ankles together, and then both legs lower a little, and both legs lift. That feels like enough, stay there. You really want to watch that rib cage doesn't lift. So I'll show you what it looks like if the ribs lift. So if you lower the legs all the way and your ribs pop up like this, then you're doing a little too much. So bring those legs back a little until you can push those ribs into the floor, and then continue your movement. The movement can grow if it feels good. You can work with straight legs as well, making the movement a little bit smaller to start. And then as you continue, you can make that movement grow. Pushing those fingertips, palms, etc. into the floor, using every single cell of your body equally, as best you can. Nice deep breaths. See if we can do 3 more. Remember, it doesn't matter if you're doing bent or straight, as long as you keep the angle of that knee consistent. Try not to bend or straighten as you lift and lower. Trying to keep the whole body still except for those legs that are moving. Let's go in for 1 more. Nice work. And then from here, if you need a break, you can take one, taking both feet to the floor, maybe taking the hands to the abdomen, and breathing deep. If it feels good, you might rest with the feet hovering, the knees bent. Maybe the thighs will come a little closer to you. If it's quite comfortable for you, you can also rest with straight legs. But you want to make sure that you're not like shaking, it's not intense, it's actually restful. So wherever you want to be for your rest, let's take 2 more big breaths. Perfect. All right, and the next one, we'll pick up those feet if they're on the floor, bringing the heels nice and close to your butt. And you want to notice if you're pulling those thighs super close to you or they're quite far away from you. And try to have those thighs so that they are perpendicular with the floor. Heels nice and close to your seat. Squeezing the legs together. Unless your knees are feeling a little bit cranky, sometimes it's nice to have the feet and the knees at hips distance apart, just as you're starting. And then we start to lift the shins and lower the shins. Start with a small movement. If that feels good and you can keep those ribs connected, then that movement can grow a little at a time. Remember, it doesn't matter how much you straighten those legs. What's most important is that you can focus on your breathing. Every time your mind wanders, bringing it back to your breath. You may want to straighten the legs all the way. You may not. Make sure you don't hyperextend those knees if you extend the legs all the way. Fronts of the thighs pressing towards the backs of the thighs. It's like the calves are lifting to the shins. Like if you had your fingertips on your shins, you were trying to push those shins into your fingertips a little bit. You might find those 2 connections really help to make that knee super stable. And this particular action is quite fantastic for the knees as well. I used to have really bad knee pain, and this is one of the ways that I managed to slowly eradicate it over time. It's worth the effort. Let's go try to go for 4 more. Inhaling as you extend, exhaling as you bend. And then bringing those heels back to your seat. Now, by all means, take a break here if you need one. And if you're ready to continue with 1 more action for this little Tensegrity series core sequence, then keeping those heels nice and close to your seat, knees open wide, think about the soles of the feet coming together, and then knees coming back towards one another, inner edges of the legs and feet touching. Inhaling to open, exhaling to close. Moving slowly with control, continuing to connect the arms and the rib cage to the floor. As you open those knees wide, lengthening from inner groins to inner knees, Maybe those outer knees can drop back into the outer hips a little bit, encouraging the external rotation of those hips. Let's aim for 4 more. And remember, if you've been working on the Tensegrity series with me for a while and you would like more of a challenge, you can always remove your block, ditch your block, and work on your neutral pelvis, trying to keep your hip bones and your pubic bone level, trying to keep that slight curve in your lower back well, connecting those ribs at the same time, and challenge yourself a bit further, really strengthen that lower back even more. But if that sounds like Greek to you, don't worry about it yet. Using the block is a great way to build stability and strengthen that pelvis as well. All right, and then when you're done, knees together, you can bring down one foot and then the other, or both feet at the same time. And then pushing into those feet, maybe you can lengthen the flesh of the upper back or the trapezius muscles down the back just a little bit, making sure that you still have a nice curve in the back of the neck, the cervical spine there. We never want to feel like we're imprinting that neck. Then when you're ready, we're going to lift up off of our block 3 times before we remove it. Pushing into the feet, lift the hips, lower back down, lift the hips again, lower back down, 3rd time, lifting up, sliding that block out of the way. Then before you come down, push into those arms, and then slowly, slowly, slowly lower. And then if you'd like more of a challenge, you can have your block or your book or what have you between your thighs. If you've had enough of a challenge, don't worry about it. You don't have to use the block. We want to make sure those feet are right underneath our knees or as close to it as we can manage. Make sure the feet are pointing straight forward. Inner edges of those feet are parallel as best you can manage. And we'll come up and down through a little bridge pose just to release that abdomen and those hip flexors a little bit. Just pushing into the feet, lifting the spine from bottom to top. You want to think about the flesh of your butt lengthening towards your heels. Rather than sticking your butt out and your belly out, you want to lengthen the flesh of that seat away from you, lengthening that lower back. Coming up one disc, one vertebra at a time, belly drawing in, front ribs squeezing together, pushing into those arms to lift the hips. Once you come up as high as is good for you, coming down just as slowly, trying to move only one disc of the spine at a time. Nice work. Once you're all the way down, we'll try to go up and down 2 more times. Inhaling to lift, nice and slow. Heads of those shoulders rooting. Maybe you can lift the back armpit to the front armpit a little bit. Coming down just as slow. Keep those fingertips connected. Remember not to turn your head here. You want to keep your gaze straight at the ceiling. Keeping the alignment of the neck consistent and safe. One more, pushing into those feet, slowly lifting. You can come up to hold for a few breaths here if it feels good. Shoulders push into the mat. The more you use those arms, the less likely it is that you'll put pressure on your neck here. You might want to lift those toes. Really work the arches of the feet. Lower those toes nice and slow. Let's come down with control. Upper back, mid back, and ever so slowly the lower back coming back down. Once you're all the way onto the mat, taking your hand to remove the block if you were using one, and then slowly taking those feet together, picking up one foot and then the other, drawing the knees towards you, taking the hands to the shins. You can interlace the fingers if it's comfortable, and just rocking a little from side to side. And if you don't feel like you need to release the lower back here, then don't worry about it. And then swapping the interlacing of those hands. Nice. And then allowing one foot and then the other to come back to the floor. Feet are hips distance apart now. Picking up the right foot when you're ready, reaching that right heel away from you. And then externally rotating that right leg so the toes go out to the right. Bend your knee, bringing your right ankle just above your left knee. Now you can stay right here if this is enough of a hip stretch. If you need less, you can walk that left foot away from you. If you need more, the left foot can walk towards you, the heel coming closer towards your seat. If you need more still, you can lift that left heel. Watch that you don't let this ankle, we call it sickling the ankle. You want to flex that ankle, toes draw towards the knee, heel reaches away from the knee, so there's no wrinkles on the inside of that ankle. If this feels sufficient, stay right here. If you need more, you can lift that left foot, take the hands behind the right, or left thigh, pardon me, and then you want to push that thigh away from you until you can feel those legs working, thighs pressing away from you. And then if you need more still, you can start to draw the legs towards you. Neutral pelvis is something you're working on. Thinking about that pubic bone sliding away from you. You may not create a literal curve in your lower back, but you can certainly use all the muscles required for that action and strengthen and stabilize those muscles that surround and support the hip sockets, the pelvis, etc. Try to have your weight distribution being even. Often our weight will kind of sink to the right side a little bit as we draw the right knee and right hip towards us. So think about lengthening that right hip away from you, lengthening that right inner groin to that right inner knee, and breathe. Three more deep breaths. Focus your eyes on one spot or close them. When you're ready, if your fingers are interlaced behind the thigh, slowly letting that left foot come back to the floor. Support your right knee as you pivot and extend, opening up the back of the knee, pushing the palms into the floor. And when you're ready, knee bends, foot comes down a hip's distance away from the left. Picking up the left foot when you're ready, this time the left heel reaches away from you. External rotation of that left leg to bend the knee. Left ankle arriving just above the right knee this time, then taking whatever variation you did on the other side, really focusing on the length from that left inner groin to that left inner knee, thinking neutral pelvis if you can, hip bones, pubic bone level, flat like a little table, ribs squeezing and pressing to the floor. You can walk that right foot to you if it feels good. You can lift the heel. You can pick up that foot all together and take the hands behind the thigh. Try to go for the opposite interlacing that we did last time. So left thumb and forefinger on top. Flexing the left foot. Thighs press away from you. And then start to bend those elbows if you need more. Thighs drawing towards you. Eventually, that shin will draw towards your chest if it feels comfortable for you. These deep inhales, full exhales. Try to have your weight even. The shoulders, the hips, the ribs, the pelvis. Three more breaths. When you're ready to come out, if you interlace the fingers, releasing that interlacing, slowly bringing that right foot to the floor, supporting the left knee as you pivot in the hip and extend, opening up the back of the knee. And then knee bends, foot comes back to the floor. Feel free to take any more movements that you need to make to be comfortable. And then straightening out one leg and then the other, releasing the toes out to the sides. Sometimes it's nice to push into the elbows and lift the chest just a little. And then release those arms, palms face the ceiling. Let the whole body relax. You want to be as still as you can be, resisting the urge to fidget or adjust. Focus on your breathing. Focus on stillness. And slowly begin to deepen your breathing. Wiggling the fingers, the toes, making small, subtle movements, waking the body from the inside. You might want to take a stretch with your arms overhead or in front of the chest. It might feel good to rock the head a little from side to side. Whenever you're ready, starting to bend one knee and then the other, walking the feet towards your seat. And then rolling off to your right side, right arm becoming a pillow for the head, left hand coming in front of you to push yourself up, nice and slow, into any seated position that feels comfortable for you. And we'll rest our hands in our lap. Take a big inhale, shoulders to the ears, up the mouth like a sigh. 2 more. And let us dedicate the merit of our practice to being mindful of the words of Krishnamacharya. Practice, practice, practice. Always coming. Thank you so much for sharing your yoga with me. Namaste.